We're going to talk about maybe we messed up, maybe we're in a little bit closer, maybe somebody got the jump on us. I'm going to loosely just call clinch positions. And when I say that, I mean somebody has wrapped us up. Right? They may wrap us up with an arm under or around our neck or around our body, sort of like a bear hug. This could go everywhere from somebody just trying to grab you and scoop you up to somebody that's real skilled at wrapping you up and trying to take you down. And we'll try to differentiate between what those attacks could look like. But what we're going to start with is somebody wrapped up over both of our arms and squeezing us in close. If Possum wraps up over my arms from the front and we get into this position, we'll call this like an over the arm bear hug from the front. Now why might he choose to wrap us up this way? It sort of minimizes how I can defend myself. My arms are restricted. It could be a panic move, right? I mean, he didn't know what he was going to do and he just grabbed and wrapped him up. He could be holding me in place and stalling for time. Could be picking me up and throwing me down. In fact, that's probably, like, when people tend to grab you around that way, a lot of times that's what it is. It's intended to wrap you up and then take you down. From that position, he could maybe pick me up and we go belly to belly and go over top. He could pick me up and bump me with a leg and turn me to the side. But what I would like you to do is get that grip and move your body into a position where if you were going to pick them up, you would pick them up using good mechanics. Everybody do it. Everybody lean forward a little bit, wrap your arms around that person. Now I want you to pull so your hips come underneath so we're sort of in good combi and we can lift with our legs. When I get this bear hug, if you're here, I'm going to get my hip under. So I get hip to hip and I'm going to start to get my lift at this point. And you don't have to lift each other up, but that's the attack that we're going to start with. Remember, the trick for safe lifting is to use your back with a sharp jerking rotation. Should be fine. But if we're doing that and we wrap somebody up and we did want to take them down or bump them, you could pick them up, but ultimately you're gonna sort of swing them till you can get them sideways and lay them down. Probably not. You're probably gonna skip over to the side, maybe use your leg like Akatoshi was displacing the person's leg or bumping their base. But once you're in the air, I hope you've practiced getting up off your back. I hope you've practiced some ground stuff. But what we want to do is avoid getting lifted up in the air. So we're going to make a little space. We're going to build a frame with our arms. So we're going to put our hands on our partner's hips. I'm going to extend my arms, and at the same time as I'm pressing in with my arms, I'm going to start moving my hips back a bit. I want my back to be straight and strong, but it's not going to be necessarily vertical. I'm going to get a little space just so I can open some room up to move. We're not going to stay there long, but again, I want to make sure that they go from this like strong lifting position back to this not strong lifting position. So get the wrap up. I'm going to get my hands on his hips and I'm going to make some space. At this point, it's going to be difficult for him to lift or to pick me up or to even to strike me with his knees from here. But I'm in a decent position where I could do this little almost like Hicho movement and just sort of give him a little tap. You don't have to kill him here, but I just want to threaten it a bit. And you see how it makes his hips, maybe it opens his grip up a bit. Now from this, I'm going to do a Toby, which means I'm going to bring my back foot to my front foot and sort of skip to the side, lift my arm, and we should be in a position that's real comfortable, right? Real familiar with us. If I was going to do a Ganseki Nage from here, what's the next step for me? I have a little bit of space. I take the space, so I'm going to move that right foot maybe in front. If I do this and I'm so close to him, I'm going to encourage you to bend your knees a little bit and use your hips to help him up and over. Make some space. Let's move through, give a little Hicho movement there. Rotate through, let this feet up. This arm, if he sort of is insistent on this grip, this little pinch, I don't try to grab him, but if I can hook him with my thumb, and then this is neat. Now I don't have like a Ganseki bar with that sort of situation, so if I'm in this tight. So what I've got to do is I've got to use my hip position. So I'm going to get in here. Right. Might do a little lift. Right. Up and over. And one more time. Make a little space. Don't get picked up. Disrupt. Toby to the side. See if you can grab him without grabbing him. Some of us have trained with Master Russo. He said something that stuck with me a long time ago. He said, black belts don't grab. So see if we can connect without sort of a grip. The thing with a grip is we tend to like attach like figuratively and literally to things. And I think detachment as a skill set is important for us to develop in life and in Taijutsu. If it goes wrong, it doesn't matter. Like, be detached to the outcome of what you're doing. Just be ready to shift to the next thing. But if I literally attach to this and things start going funny, I can start circling the drain and not realize it. But if I've got this connection, plus people look at it, I'm not necessarily being quite so grabby. Doesn't look quite as aggressive. Sneak that hip in, let's bend their knee, use a little hip lift, and that might be a good place to stop. Maybe a suggestion on how to get a little more bang for your buck with the movement, but also maybe another direction to go if it feels like this isn't accessible. It says we're making our space and we're skipping in here, we're keeping this arm tight. So his arm's not really changed, right? He sinks down, he drops his elbow, I don't have a lot of leverage. But something's really funny when I extend my arm. What happens is my arm goes up. So watch, this is a really important minor thing that we look for with a lot of our techniques. If his shoulder stays tucked in the socket like this, his arm's really strong. He's gonna bend it, he's gonna be able to pull it down. But if I can like roll it forward out of the side, you see how that, like I want the shoulder to go up and almost hit him in the jaw. If I do that, so Master Bragg was talking about putting their bones in the way. Right? This changes things a lot. And this doesn't change his shoulder as much as this does. You see how that little roll happens?
Yeah.
Now a lot of times when we do ganseki, it'd be neat if we had a bar, right? We don't always get that, especially if we're in tight. And if he's a little bit insistent on keeping that arm bent, rather than sort of powering your ganseki through this bar, maybe we can get almost a kimura on this. Right, so when I say kimura, it's like a reverse onikudaki, where this hand's going up and underneath him. If I start sticking this arm up, if his arm's pretty loose, I'm going to leverage this. But if he bends his arm just a little bit, you can feel it, like if he bends at the elbow. Right?
To pull you in.
Maybe he's pulling me in, he's resisting. I can keep this up a little bit closer to his elbow and almost put my back to him. And you see how I'm doing this with the arm. If I get this out in front of it and rip down hard there, it's gonna pop forward. In competition martial arts, the most common way to anterior dislocate the shoulder is this sort of movement. It's sort of an epidemic of it happening right now because people think they can resist that pressure, and next thing they know, it sounds like when you're pulling a chicken leg apart. When you have pressure on the tendons, listen to the pressure. You don't necessarily, they're not innervated the same way. You may not get the same like pain signal that you get with a muscular stretch or compression, right? You just feel sort of a pressure in the shoulder, in the knee, in the ankle, right? So listen to that pressure and tap early or move with it. But if I can't affect him through this arm, he clamps. And this is sort of another clinch, right? And I'm not getting that effect. I could try to headbutt him. I could give him the old haktua in his eye like that, or I could skip in and lift. There's nothing on that leg, and then we get a neat little takedown option. Make the space, knee and sneak. Right? Trying to get this arm, it locks up. Do that little Toby again and just pull the ankle out. There's no weight on it if he's standing there. Right? Don't try to pick him up. Just pull his base out from underneath. And then I'm going to crash in super tight. I almost want him like sitting on my hip. And from there, I could tap his knee so he can't step. I could tap his ankle. Or we might even shift into one of our ashikake, one of our leg trap positions where I can leverage in and take him down this way. My arm's a little compromised. So as he falls, I want to get that arm out of there so he doesn't wrap me in a mushadori. If the arm gets tight, lift your arm with the goal of rolling their shoulder in the socket. If you get that rolled over, you got a very significant leverage advantage. You got something you can take, a structural advantage to take. If his arm bends as he's doing that, turn your back to it. And you get a little bit of this kimura or this udegarami effect. But if he brings those elbows down and you can't quite move him there, let's take his base out. Just pull one of his legs, pull it towards you. And you'll be amazed at how easy it comes right off the ground. If his base gets wide, his legs get light. Bring this foot in, and then there's nothing on this leg. Right? The wider their base gets, the lighter their legs get. Right? A lot of people were lifting, like rushing in. I don't want to bend over and really commit to falling with the person. I'd rather him fall and me still be standing. So if you get that and you lift, step in the middle. And we displace him, right? We'll move through center, we'll knock him off his base, and you could do 1,000 things to make him fall at that point. What makes somebody fall?
They lost their balance.
And you didn't get it back.
And you can't get it back. They lost their balance and the ability to get it back. So that's the crucial two pieces, right?
If they're going down just from that, is it too much or is that?
No.
Okay.
What is that called? Ganseki Otosh, right? There's nothing wrong. I watch that route. Or
Yep.
I'm gonna aim for that route.
Okay, thanks.
Actually, right? Right? That's Ganseki Otosh. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Go back to what Master Brad was talking about. We can like have a desire to do something to somebody, and again, that may change things. And what I'm looking for is safe space. And when we're thinking about striking, that's a positional thing. When we're thinking about grappling or somebody grappling onto us, it's a structural thing. I might not actually be moving that much to be in a safe. I need to be in a safe position or posture, so that can make a difference, right? And then in a fight, when people can punch and kick and wrestle, you've got the challenge of being able to identify both good kamae, right, good structural positioning, and the right place to be. And like we said, we want to be a little bit detached. If I need it to be this way, then I'm end gaining. I'm looking for the thing that I want and trying to get there, and things happen, right? Things mess up. You got to give the other person credit, and you got to realize they have at least half of the say as to what happens in this exchange. Right, so their leg might be here, it might be there, and so when I step in, my foot might be in front of it, it might be behind it. And this would be what I would suggest for you guys. If you lift with a foot up, right? We don't always do this in Taijutsu. We don't always lift our leg high, but if you do, the ankle's there, and it's easy to pick. But if we do this sort of motion, like that Ganseki Otoshi, where I slide my foot, it can be a little bit awkward to get to the ankle. But the knee is there. It does the same thing. It keeps him from stepping, complicates his base, and makes him likely to fall. So you can keep your back more upright, but the most upright we'll get will be this one. If we get this wrap up, I don't want to get picked up, and I'm making my space, and I bump and I skip, and I wind up sort of struggled and wound up in this position, right? I don't want to try to come all the way back in front for Ganseki. I do like to stay here because this is sort of a safer spot. If he does hit me, it's going to have a little door knocky effect, but not a full-on like wind up boom thing. And I've got an opportunity to do this or to do this, which makes it a lot harder for him to hit me. We're going to disrupt that base, very similar to how Akatoshi did that. So I'm going to bump with my thigh, I'm going to sink down, but I'm going to take my ear, I'm going to use my strong ear and push him this way, right? So we get him leaning back. Once he's off balance, we'll do a little foot switch.
right, so watch how he falls.
On the root, face first. Which is great because I'm pre-positioning myself. Once he's on the ground, he's not going to kick me in the face. He's not going to grab me and pull me down. If I needed to stay with him, if the fight called for that, you wake up in the middle of the night and your kid's asleep in the other room and somebody's in your bedroom, you're going to knock them down and you're going to run upstairs and say good luck and run away. And that's your fight to finish. Set it up so you can finish it. Right? Make a little space. Disrupt, sneak in there, but my leg winds up behind him. I'm going to bump. Get him going. If I can't get my leg there, I can put my hand there. Up and move. Here's a good spot. We're going to shadow box it with us. Don't get picked up. Picked up's bad. Disrupt. Toby. I'm in a different spot. If you're here, maybe catch that elbow. This is a good catch. I think this one's a better catch. Right. Bump with the knee. As you bump with my knee, I'm going to drive with my ear. I'm out of kama, so can I fix it? Right. Now I'm holding him up. Holding him up. You can just keep turning and drive. You can pull on that arm. He's going to land on his face. You can drop your dogaishi pressure back on his back and hit him if you need. If it is a condition where you want to break contact and move, real easy to do there because he's facing the other way. Knees potentially hurt. You can hurt somebody's knee, so please be careful doing this. Right? Lands on his face. We take for granted how effective just making somebody fall can be because we roll, we break fall. Right? It's a literal superpower to be able to hit the ground and not get hurt. And most people don't practice it. See how it turns this sort of bear hug into a headlock?
Yeah.
And a headlock is like the easiest thing to escape. If somebody puts you in a headlock in a fight, just yes. You're gonna look like a rock star. It's gonna be great. Right? So you can peel their face back. We can pinch their leg. You can hit them and hit them. We can bump them and throw them 1,000 different ways. If we wind up in this bear hug from the front, and I get this, skip to the side. Let's turn this way. And I'm around him. It's a crappy headlock, especially if I can get this, right? Pinch that thigh, lift his leg up, right? You hit him this way, you can hit him this way. If this is wrapped around your neck and you don't like it, here's a neat trick. Put your hand on the hand. I'm gonna double down on that little stanky leg right there, and I'm gonna swing this leg back. And I got a neat little escape route if you want. If you like a single leg, this is a real cool, easy entry into a single leg. I'm a fan of that. And again, of course, we could just bump them down. Unless, as I go to do this, he pulls that foot around. But that's okay, we just practiced this.
Yeah.
So once we put ourselves in this position, whatever he does, puts us in a headlock, we have an answer. Steps his foot around so he can't take it out, we have an answer. Right? Or if he actually just falls, we have an answer. So you put yourself in this hub, and I've given him what appears to be options, right? He's got options, but they're not going to take him anywhere he ultimately wants to go. I'll butcher the quote, but take away all the exits except for one, paint it gold and set your trap behind it. All right, and that's what I'm doing. I'm closing this up in a way, structurally blocking several things. You can't move it out, use your kami, use your taijutsu, like bend those knees and get that back in a strong position where you're not going to have your foundation rocked. Disrupt his foundation. Use that little leg, like drive that knee over your toe into the angle of his leg. Bend his knees. Again, if he puts you in a headlock, cool. If he pulls his foot back, cool. If he falls, cool.